The most tragic and devastating effects of environmental pollution can be seen in the unfortunate oil spills of recent history. Unlike other environmentally harmful accidents, nothing is as immediate and as urgent as salvaging the various ecosystems put into danger and halting any further damage. So it is with the oil slick that started spreading on the eastern Mediterranean shores in 2006. Substantial damage to the coastal and marine ecosystems has necessitated urgent action, both in assessing the impact of the spill and in monitoring and cleanup operations. Assisting Lebanon in this endeavor, and in response to the call by the UN General Assembly, is the government of Greece, with an allocated $1.64 million for the implementation of the Environmental Resources Monitoring in Lebanon, ERML, a project to be executed by the Ministry of Environment under the management of UNEP and UNDP. The project's main objective is to increase the knowledge base of the ministry on the status of the environment and its impact on the ecosystems. This is achieved through the development and implementation of strategies for monitoring and managing environmental resources, with a focus on the coastal zone of Lebanon, where 40% of the population lives.
ساحل لبنان غني بالأماكن الأثرية والأماكن الإيكولوجية. الصخور مثلاً الموجودة على ساحل لبنان غير موجودة بالبحر المتوسط غير بأماكن بسيطة بإسبانيا، وهي كتير ضرورية لتكاثر الثروة السمكية. لازم نطور خطط للرصد والمراقبة لهالأماكن الأثرية والأماكن الإيكولوجية تنقدر نحميها ونحافظ عليها.
An adequate monitoring plan of marine and coastal resources was crucial, so consultants started by identifying sensitive coastal areas exposed to major threats, mainly from land-based pollution. Detailed data collection was undertaken to evaluate the geographical, biological, and cultural features of coastal and marine areas. Potential and existing stresses, in addition to the current conservation status, were also taken into account. Sites identified as sensitive were given a priority ranking. Additionally, a monitoring plan of the benthic habitats was drawn for the evaluation of the ecological quality of the coastal waters in Lebanon, specifically the biological communities of the seafloor. The implementation of such a plan is a phased process, with the aim of optimizing monitoring activities and centralizing their results on high-priority water bodies.
لتاريخ اليوم ما صدقت الحكومة اللبنانية على بروتوكول الإدارة المتكاملة للمناطق الساحلية أو ICZM بروتوكول اللي نازل تحت اتفاقية برشلونة، بس نظراً لأهمية هالبروتوكول وتداعياته الإيجابية على الصعيد الاقتصادي والاجتماعي، باشرت وزارة البيئة بعمليات الانضمام سنة 2013 على أمل أنه يصير في عنا مشاريع متكاملة على المناطق الساحلية.
The coastal zone in Lebanon is considered a national treasure of high economic value. But to this day, the country still lacks an integrated plan for coastal zone protection and management. Therefore, it is of no surprise that the adoption of such a strategy has become increasingly important and urgent due to the irreversible damage inflicted onto this zone. The ERML project's second objective aims at enhancing the socio-economic opportunities within the coastal zone of Lebanon. Consultants started by conducting a situational analysis of the current land use of the coastal zone, integrating socio-economic variables. High-risk municipalities with considerable LCLU changes and significant economic pressure were highlighted as vulnerable, requiring immediate attention. In effect, the second phase comprised of an integrated development strategy, addressing both the environmental concerns and the opportunities presented by the green economy model. Needless to say that without adequate regulatory and legislative frameworks, the success of monitoring and management initiatives is doubtful. With that in mind, recommendations were made, revolving mainly around further defining the roles of the different stakeholders, raising public awareness, engaging civil society, improving law enforcement mechanisms, and voting for new environmental laws currently in Parliament.
تلوث الهواء مشكلة عالمية، وكل البلدان عم بتجرب تلاقي طريقة لتحل مشكلة تلوث الهواء. بلبنان في كتير مبادرات فردية. مشكلة إنه هالمعدات اللي عم بيجيبوها منا كروس كاليبريتد. الوزارة قررت إنه تجيب هالمعدات تتبناها هي، وتتبنى كمان قصة المعلومات، يعني كيف بدنا نوصل هالمعلومات للناس على كل يوم بيومه.
In order to resolve the major limitations of monitoring air quality, fully automated real-time monitoring stations will be installed in different hotspots in Lebanon. These were identified based on an inventory of emission sources, coupled with air dispersion modeling. The location and priority of the permanent air quality monitoring stations were defined, taking into account population exposure as the main determinant. In a first phase, 5 stations will be deployed and distributed in background urban and rural sites. In a second phase, the ministry will work towards deploying 5 additional stations to ensure full coverage of the Lebanese territory. Within the longer term, air dispersion modeling would allow the assessing of air quality throughout Lebanon. Air quality data will be synthesized and displayed in the form of a color-coded Air Quality Index, AQI. The purpose of the AQI is to help the community understand what local air quality means to their health. The deployment of such an air quality monitoring network supports national legislation on the protection of air quality, namely the Lebanese Clean Air Act, recently approved by the Council of Ministers and forwarded to the Parliament for study. On the other hand, and though Lebanon is not part of any regional or international agreements on regulating ambient air quality, it closely abides by its commitments to international conventions and protocols.
يأتي مشروع تطوير مراقبة الموارد البيئية في لبنان تماشياً مع الخطة التي وضعت، الخطة الثلاثية من 2011 ل 2013 لوزارة البيئة في لبنان، تحت شعار البيئة السياسية في خدمة السياسة البيئية. يأتي هذا المشروع لتفعيل دور الوزارة وتنمية قدراتها التقنية للحفاظ على الثروات الطبيعية وإدارة المخاطر، إن كان على صعيد رصد أو الوقاية أو العلاج.
Coastal and marine resources and air quality take their toll on citizens' health and the Lebanese ecosystem. With solid cooperation among stakeholders from the public and private sectors and adequate financial support, the Ministry of Environment continues to monitor for healthier communities, manage for more efficient protection and use of resources, and work towards maintaining economic development for present and future generations. After all, building a world we would be proud to leave our children takes diligence, commitment, and expertise. The ERML project may just be a start, but it's an integral one.